Okay, so we are still in chapter 13 and we are doing section 2 about the age of exploration. Yesterday we learned about the advancement in science and technology, helped develop navigational techniques, and the tools gave them the capacity to explore farther. And today we will learn about exploration and colonization, which is definitely related to what we've learned from lesson 1. If you have an actual physical textbook, have it ready. Or if you want to go online, Loda USD, Clever. And from Clever Cengage Learning, log in with your student account and password. Unit 5, Chapter 13, Section 2, Lesson 2, Exploration and Colonization, pages 364 to 365. So the chapter's essential question is, how did new ideas affect Europeans' views of the world? And the objective of this lesson is to identify the 5 European nations that competed for trade, land, and riches during the age of exploration. Now let's take a look at this interesting introduction paragraph here in our lesson. So Pedro is just 16 years old when he joins an expedition to sail across the Atlantic Ocean. Bringing just clothes he's wearing, he climbs aboard a wooden ship to sail off to, well, he's not sure exactly where. He has no idea when he will return. He's excited and scared, much like other sailors on European expeditions. So with better navigational tools and new way of viewing the world, several nations increase exploration voyages. So lesson 2.2, this lesson describes how these European nations competed for trade, land, and riches. Now, of all the superpowers during this time, or powerful nations, Portugal was a great seafaring nation. They took the lead in European exploration. And in 1419, Prince Henry the Navigator, the son of Portugal's king, established a navigation school in Portugal. So obviously this school led to a lot of sailors who are so eager to explore distant lands. So the Portuguese discovered an eastern sea route to India in 1498 and eventually established a profitable Asian trade. On the other hand, in Spain, the monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella funded an expedition led by the Italian navigator Christopher Columbus to find a sea route to Asia by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean. Well, you probably heard about the story. The expedition failed, but it was for good, eventually was good for Spain. Reaching the Americas proved to be a great benefit for them. So they established colonies in the Caribbean and conquered large areas of the Americas. As you know, a colony is a group of people that settles in a new land but keeps ties to its native country. So basically, that's a colony. Somebody sent them to explore new lands, and their responsibility is definitely to bring back any goods, or at least to send taxes back home to the people who sent them to explore new lands. You probably heard about the 13 colonies, and of course, next year in your 8th grade US history, you will learn more about this in greater details. Portugal and Spain developed a heated rivalry, well, even in soccer or football today, or competition over who would control a newly encountered lands. So by 1494, Portugal and Spain agreed to the Treaty of Tordesillas to settle their disputes. The treaty drew an imaginary line across the Atlantic Ocean from north to south. So essentially, they divided the globe. Portugal received an easterly lands, including Brazil. Spain would receive any newly encountered lands to the west. Well, the treaty between Spain and Portugal kind of looked like this. Well, just in case you are wondering who decided to, divide the world between Spain and Portugal, it was the Pope. There are other 3 powerful nations who got involved in this rivalry as well. So the English, the Dutch, and the French. The English formed the East India Company in 1600s, and they were able to establish trading posts in India. They established colonies in North America as well, and in 1602, The Dutch founded the Dutch East India Company to compete for trade in the Indian Ocean. The French joined the exploration race largely to compete with their English rivals. In the previous lesson, the Caravel was mentioned. A caravel is a small ship used by early explorers, including Christopher Columbus. It is very small. Well, not very small. It's small, fast, and easy to maneuver. It could sail about 100 miles a day, and it can hold from 15 to 20 sailors with their cargoes, of course, with their supplies. Now, what's in the caravel? Well, sailors. The minimum age for a sailor was 16 years old. Sailors ate one hot meal a day at most. And sailors worked and slept on deck. They worked in shifts around the clock. There are barrels of wine and water, and supplies of food were kept in the cargo, and food was mostly hard biscuits and salted meat. Sailors usually avoided the cargo hold because of the tight space and rats. Ships could be extremely cold, so there's a fire pit. Fires were allowed only in calm weather. Well, obviously, Captain Obvious, you don't want to burn the ship. So one hot meal a day was cooked in the fire pit. There is also the captain's cabin. Only the captain had living quarters, which also served as an office. So that essentially is a caravel. Now let's take a look at the impact of exploration. So Europeans' exploration changed the world. That's the bottom line. Trade increased greatly. At trading posts, both goods and ideas were readily exchanged. So these colonies enriched the mother countries that sent them, which claimed land and exploited or used to their advantage local resources and native people. Yes, that's slavery. So colonies brought European culture to places all over the world. As the age of exploration turned into a competition for land and riches, Europeans ended up controlling much of the world. Now let's take a look at the review and assess questions. The first one for reading check. How did the reasons of the European exploration change over time? Number 2, analyze cause and effect. What were some major effects of European exploration? And number 3, interpret visuals. What do you think were the best and worst parts of a sailor's life on a caravel? So to answer these questions, you need to go back to our Google Classroom and open the review and assess assignment, Chapter 13, Section 2, The Age of Exploration. Find the slide for Lesson 2, Exploration and Colonization, and put your last name, first name, class period, and date. And of course, the key vocab here, colony. And don't forget to write the title of the lesson as well. And for sure, the correct answers. And write in complete sentences if you are aiming for the full credit, which I think should be the aim of everyone. So that's Lesson 2.2, Exploration and Colonization.